Welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
What's up, guys? And overall, this was a good episode. It sucks what happened to Matthew. Like, it's something that people were like talking about and stuff. And I know, like, we thought he was going to make it further or maybe pull through and stuff, but unfortunately, and the dude soldiered through for so long. He is definitely a big fighter, but yeah, he is no longer in the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of mixed opinions about this whole episode. Because at the start of it, we got so much camp life stuff, and honestly, I was really digging it. I felt like we got to learn about the players that were out there given the screen time. I felt like we got to see way more about like them than we've gotten, honestly, for like the rest of the season so far. But yeah, I mean, just the way I think Matthews uh you know departure from the game just does it leaves a sour taste, I think, in a lot of viewers' mouths, because he was a big fixture and we didn't even get to see a real like him making the decision on screen to leave.
Yeah,
And I think that really like we learned about Matthew's departure through Jam Jam. Like Jeff can't
yeah.
coach, but Jam Jam's the one to like let us know, like, man, it sucks that Matthew is not in the game, which is, like they couldn't have like realized, oh, Matthew's leaving. Let's just get a camera crew for like a few minutes here just to like give us something. So
Yeah,
I'm
it was also weird. We heard nothing about from Ratu about that. Maybe they're
yeah.
saving it for next episode, but like usually Jeff tells the tribe of who's losing a member, and then I don't know, maybe they were doing it to pull suspense, but I don't know, like when he was pulling up, like the time was already at like, like the show was about to end. So it was like you kind of figured out what was going to happen and whatnot. I don't know, like the way it happened was off. And yeah, it did kind of feel like, oh, they left it on a cliffhanger, and then like if I'm comparing it to like a TV show or a movie, it's like, oh, they died off screen. Even
Yeah.
though it was like when Mad Eye Moody was killed in the Harry Potter books and movie, it was like, yeah, Mad Eye's dead. It was like, wait, wait, wait. So we don't see him die? We're just
Yeah.
he's dead?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like they had to quickly get him out there. Like it was Matthew's decision to
Yeah.
leave. And I think that also adds like an element to it of, like this is technically going down as a quit. Like you are good, like they're going to like label it that. I know Jeff Probst on the podcast is like this isn't a quit, but because medical specifically wasn't like you need to get out of this game, we're pulling you, it was Matthew's decision. It does still technically count as a quit, which is always, unfortunate. And
Yeah.
we've seen injuries like this on Survivor, and they've, been able to kind of keep going. So it is another kind of like, oh, wow. So this injury ends up taking away someone from the game who was a fan favorite. And we've seen, people able to at least still be around for it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things with Matthew in this episode that was it's just upsetting of what happens.
Yeah. And I feel like the thing is, because Matthew was such a interesting guy, you know, it was hard to not give him coverage.
Mhm.
You know, it's hard to, because he is so passionate, because he trained for it, because, you know, he has a cool backstory, and like, that moment where, and the moments where he soldiers through and everything, it makes him so likable. And so it
Mhm.
does really suck
Yeah, I mean, he was the
for him to
best
go out like
player
that.
on Ratu, like just hands down. He was playing the best game over there.
Yeah.
So now kind of losing him right before the merge here. I mean, it almost feels like it makes Ratu, just without a paddle at this point. It feels like
Watch
we've
your mouth.
lost.
Watch your mouth. Watch your gosh darn mouth.
I
All
know
right.
you like
I,
Kane. I know you want Kane to win. Uh,
I'm Lauren.
and Lauren.
even
Well,
though she doesn't
both of
get
them
much the credit.
have had a bit of a struggle in the editing department, I will say.
Kane is Kane. All right, all right, all right. Kane has gotten a bit more love. The thing is, Ratu never goes to tribal, so therefore they hardly ever get screen time.
Yeah, but we
Um,
got a lot of math content for Matthew, and even Brandon at least is up there in the confessionals and screen time. But you know, yeah, we've also
Jamie
seen
as
with
well. Jamie
we've
gets
seen
some.
with Marianne as the winner of season 42. They rarely went to tribal, and yet we got a lot of screen time of Marianne pre-merge. Like they always were saying, know what is going on with this person. Um, and Matthew, in my was honestly that person of Ratu Tribe where they were like, we need to let you know what's going on with Matthew each episode, and to lose them right when the merge is going to happen. It's we've also now just entered like you know, parallel dimensions or whatever you want to call it here,
A
because
Survivor what if.
yeah, because this totally changes. The entire game has been completely altered here because clearly Carolyn was going to want to get rid of Josh because there's going to be a potential bro alliance happening here at the merge.
Yes.
And that would have caused so many ripple effects that happened throughout the whole season. And now that that's not happening, there is now a whole new world that's basically being opened up here by
Exactly.
this happening.
It's you know, like, and to like bounce off of that too. When we're talking about, if we can talk about the romance and stuff. First of all, this show, this episode showcased a nerdy showmance, a nerdy bromance, and a broy bromance. Uh, and when so with everything that happened when it came to so at the immunity challenge and you know, obviously Ratu and Soka, they came in, you know, they won, they were safe, as we already said. And then they were like, oh, so you guys are going to be sent off and, you know, do your thing. And so, like, it's tricky then because it's right before tribal. And then, like, you know, now it's a bit more nerve wracking because it's like, oh, especially after last episode, it's like, well, what's going to happen? And when Jeff said, oh, you will return for tribal council, I was like, oh, okay, so there's not going to be any more like shenanigans or like, oh, it's kind of like these people are marooned or like, you know, oh, they're you know, exiled for like an episode or two.
Mm-hmm.
Not two. No one's like exiled for 2 episodes,
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
that would definitely be crazy if they exiled and it's like, okay, Josh Jam Jam, you guys are making fire.
Man, yeah, that would have been nuts. But yeah, I feel bad for Carolyn, and I get
Mhm.
it. I've been the third wheel in a conversation before
Yeah,
where it's just basically two people talking and you're just kind of there.
yeah.
But I think it really, really sucks when they're talking about strategy and plans for the future. And Brandon, I like the guy, but why would you? It's like one of those things where it's not meant to be an insult. But like when he's like, "Oh, you're not really great at the challenges, so you're someone that's so great to bring," and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm not insulted by that." But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like same deal, getting underestimated and kind of like
I mean,
all that.
that's Carolyn's whole shtick right now is she's actually out there playing the best game, but no one is going to realize it. Um,
Actually, Jam Jam is starting to be like, "Hey, Carolyn, she is not as unaware as she
yeah, yeah,
seems."
but what's crazy is like, you know, they're going to get there and Jamin is going to be like, guys, listen to this. Carolyn is actually playing a really good game and no one is going no one there is going to be like, "Oh, that makes so much
Yeah,
sense." It's going to be like, "Okay, sure, you're just trying to throw her under the bus to save your skin."
I mean, you're not wrong. I feel like I mean, and like when Tika was, you know, talking travel lines and stuff, and I mean, him and Jam Jam, you know, or I say him and Jam Jam, Josh and Jam Jam, you know, they bonded by the fire talking about their coming out stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And not only that, like they did try and strategize a little bit. Now, I will say Josh may have made the worst fake idol since season 16
Yeah.
because it came apart. And also it was like because everyone's kind of aware of how to fake an idol and stuff like that. And like, Jam Jam was like, is this from Dreammail?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the same beads they use
Yeah.
from Dreammail. He's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. And
The,
then it broke.
Yeah, that's why you should never let people know that you have another idol. Like I think letting them know that just calls for them to be allowed to see your idol, to like look at it. Otherwise, they won't believe you. You need to do, I think, what Rupert Boneham did in season 20, where he just got a heavy rock, put it in his pockets, and
Yeah,
essentially didn't tell anyone about it, and let people use their deductions, because a lot of people are out there like trying to be very focused about this kind of thing. It's like if they see something out of place, they're going to immediately the highest conclusion, but they won't really want to confront you about it. So you kind of don't have to let everyone know what you have. It's that they're going to just have to play as if you have it.
yeah. Um, Thing is, it's like it's this big fake out game, and like it did feel like Tika was. It is a bummer that they didn't go to tribal council because like
Yeah.
it did feel like a Mexican standoff where like guns were pointed at each person. And
Yeah.
it's like, will Josh and Jam Jam work together? Will Carolyn and Jam Jam work together? Will Carolyn and Josh work together? It's like,
Yeah.
granted, Carolyn was like, no, screw Josh. I want to get rid of his butt.
Yeah.
But like even said that to his face, but copping out that it was a joke.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah, I have to give
but
a lot of props to Jam Jam because last week it really seemed like it was like he is going to have to work really hard to get Carolyn back on his side. But Jam Jam got out of a jam jam and managed to become the middleman somehow, even though it seemed like Carolyn was going to easily be taking that spot if they went to tribal again. It really ended up being Jam Jam in the end. So, I definitely have to give props to him for how he played this week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like he wasn't like accepting his fate either. He was like, hey, he was trying to make moves, and like, we saw mostly him talking to Josh, and it's like, Carolyn betrayed me. What makes you? I'm like, why would I trust her again? It makes sense. Yeah. It is very interesting how, especially the fact that the sharing of knowledge thing happened right before the merge too, or mergatory.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so they already know, like, obviously, since Carson and Jamie, their idols are now null and void. I mean, people can be aware, oh, like if they have an idol, it could be possibly fake. They have that knowledge. So like Danny, who knows at least where two fake idols are, he can definitely, or one fake idol, two null idols that could be used as fake idols.
Mhm.
Like he can know, you know, all that
Man,
stuff
there's
and
just so
whether or not he
many
wants to
idols
share it.
and fake idols out here now in this game. Like it is it is a minefield of what can be used for what.
I'm just waiting for someone to make the joke. It's a stick. It's a freaking stick.
Man, they need to bring that like I don't that wasn't in Ghost Island, right? That was never an idol that was used.
So Ghost Island.
I
I
think
feel
they
like it
I
could have
think they
been.
said that they got it, but I don't know if it ever got like brought into the game. I because I know that they had a bunch of old
Old
knowledge,
props. I don't think
but
the no.
yeah,
Maybe it
I think that
feels
was one of the ones that didn't get found, or like the game wasn't played, so it just wasn't used.
this is why I don't know. They shouldn't have had the set things. It's like production. You can meddle a little bit when it comes to like us wanting to see the old things and like the cursed items and whatnot.
Um, yeah,
But I digress. Uh, but yeah, I feel like if we're going to, because we talked about a little bit about Danny and having all this knowledge and whatnot, getting to know him a little bit better because we did see his like his stories, flashbacks, his little child and stuff like um because he correct me if I'm wrong because you see the confessional counts before I do, but if he has like the most on Soka, right?
Um, for overall,
Yeah.
no, he does not.
No, but like for Soka, he has the most overall.
Yeah, he does not have the most overall for Soka.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
that goes to Matt, who had a very good premiere with 11, and then has kind of fizzled off a little bit. But because he had such a good premiere, it's
well,
yeah,
I feel like he still gets stuff
yeah.
because of his nerdy showmans.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is looking at his confessionals as like a like
Strategy.
or even just like as a good like long how long he's going to be in the game. It still feels like they're giving him because of the showmans, but not real.
So,
But
Franny.
yeah, it seems like that's all they really care about with Matt, and but because I think production really loved that they got that they ended up doing
Nerdy
this
showman.
dance, they're loving showing us that kind of stuff. But I don't feel that his game is here for the long term.
Because he still needs to not vote, and he's not voting in the next tribal council. Which
Yeah.
I will say this: I know that some people are going to analyze the hell out of the next time on Survivor because you see them all going to tribal council.
Mhm.
And we know Matt doesn't have immunity because they showed him in like, the thing carrying his torch. So I know all the people for the Mergatory are going to be like, okay, so who has a buff? Who doesn't have a buff? Let me zoom in, enhance, zoom in, enhance, zoom in,
Mhm.
enhance. But yeah, he does not have a vote going into this. I one thing I do want to mention about the nerdy showmance is with Franny, and we're talking about production. One of the producers, was calling out Franny for blushing. She's like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't date someone like that in real life, but because Survivor and stuff, like in circumstances, why not?" And then it's like, "You're blushing," and she's like, "Oh."
Yeah, it's hilarious. It seems like production is like just super invested in that show, man. Jeff Probst has even said like, I really hope that their relationship works out after the show. So even Jeff Probst is in on it.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah,
Nerdy showmans.
yeah.
Um,
But we've seen showmances and they rarely ever actually last long term unless you're Boston Rob and Amber. I mean, that's
I still believe in love, and even if it doesn't last,
Hey,
I,
it adds entertainment. I'm here for the entertainment. But definitely, if you were to ask me if Matt and Franny are making the finale of the season, I will always bet on no.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have. Like, I'm not counting anyone out, but I
Yeah,
don't think one of them. I can see maybe one of them making it to the end, but I don't see both in
yeah.
that sense. I mean, since I feel like we'll talk more about this episode, and then we can talk about the pre-merge as a whole. But like also this episode, yeah, I know we're talking about people in the end, winter edits, and all that. And yes, you have drilled it into my head. You have teased me beyond. You've teased me more about this than maybe the Danny Boatwright stuff. That Kane's not winning this season.
Mhm.
Okay, but
Hey,
how well do you?
I'm proud of him, honestly. I really did not think he was getting this far, so I am very proud that. But now remember, he still might not make the jury. There is one, maybe two more people who will not be on the jury, depending on how they're gonna dish it out. Because if they're doing the earn the merge, this next one, that person will be on
Yeah,
the jury. And then if they do what they did with Dwight, that means the first real merge food
Well, the
safety.
part of the reason they did that was because they merged at 13, and then the jury in Modern Survivor starts at 11. So I think that was kind of why that happened. So I don't think that's going to happen this time around.
Yeah, that's why I said we're getting at least 1 to 2. It's yeah. Who knows? Sometimes maybe they want to be a little crazy with it.
so not too
Change
crazy.
things a little bit to see what best works for the new era. Who knows?
I feel like the eight, I feel like the eight jury members works, or like as long as it's that even number because of in case they need a Laurel vote,
Mhm.
and something like that, where they have someone in third place to do it. Because if it's at nine and then it's like a three-way tie, I can see something like that happen.
Yeah,
This is
well,
all
if
hypothetical.
it's at 10, if they start jury at 10, it would be a 7-person jury, which will guarantee it no tie can really happen in that situation, unless it is a one vote goes to someone and then the rest go, which then still creates the Laurel situation.
I don't think you actually believe it. I think you just really want me to believe that Kane does not make the jury. I
No, no,
think you
no.
just are. I think
I
you.
am saying I actually don't think Kane is the next one to go here. If I had to guess, I think we're either going to be losing a Matt because of his no vote showman situation, or we're losing Josh because he has sketched out Tika and he has sketched out his own tribe.
All right, we'll get all to that in a bit, but I do want
Yeah.
to cover what brought this up in the first place.
Mhm.
Kane, well, first he was talking to Matthew about about Matthew's arm and everything. But the second bit of, footage we got from Kane was the nerdy bromance. And yeah, I would imagine I feel like I would definitely be in Kane's shoes if I was on a tribe of not nerds. Or
Agreed.
like no, at least one person who doesn't watch movies or anything like that. It's like everyone else talking about food, and then Kane's like, oh man, I want to get to know you. Let's nerd out. Let's nerdy bro out and all that stuff. And like, I was all for it. And I'm like, it's like if there was two fishbacks and they work together. I'm like, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
if Stephen Feshbach and Rob Cesternino actually got to play on the same season together,
yeah,
we're just able to be nerds out there.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that was really good for Kane, getting in with Carson because I do think Carson is going to have a lot of sway. I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to work with Carson, and so having, starting try to have a nerdy bromance might help him, at least in the maybe first half of the post merge to
definitely.
potentially get some footholds.
Definitely. And I feel like because he left all the Tika drama or all that before it became like drama.
Yeah,
He's been, and we saw in this episode with Carson, he was like, yeah, I'm really bonding with pretty much everyone on the tribe. Now, granted,
yeah,
by everyone, we mostly saw Matthew and Kane. We didn't
yeah.
see him, bonding with Lauren or Brandon very much, but
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
is one of those things where it's like, okay, he is going to be in a good position going into this. And if
yeah.
Kane's is number one, you know, it's good for Kane.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Carson is in the reverse Josh position where both his original tribe and the new tribe he's with are actually like wanting to work with him moving forward,
yeah,
progress through the game with Carson. So yeah, I definitely think it was he's doing pretty good over there. Obviously, unfortunately, his idol never gets to be used, which you know is a little upsetting for that temporary idol really only had one tribal council that was ever going to be used because of the medevac or quit here.
um, I mean, even not even because of the medevac too, because like if we're
Yeah,
talking about this, what if Tika
yeah,
still goes? Which
yeah.
let's just say we called it. We called it. It's like Tika got would have potentially gotten decimated. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
it just and it's sad because it's mostly because of the medical evacuation with Bruce and like it's just
yeah,
something where yes, obviously they didn't lose. every single challenge, but it just collapsed that team. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so curious because I know that production loved the season, and just so far, I'm so much more of a fan of 43 actually than of what we've gotten here. So I'm assuming that we have a winner that production really loved because Jeff Probst said that Redemption Island was his top five season when it came out. So he loved because he loved Boston Rob. So maybe we're getting someone that he just really loved who won the season, or the gameplay is just like so good, or the everyone out there was just so much fun to be around for production that it doesn't actually matter how the game progressed. So I'm just so curious because yeah, I mean it's really hard to I think have a these two people getting removed from injuries of the game. It just it does cause a damper on a season. That's why
it
people
does.
I think a little bit of a hate on Ko Wrong. There's some good things in that season, but
But there's
I
a
think
reason why Korong is not like, I definitely think Korong is A tier, but I think with the medevacs, it's something that prevents it from being S tier.
yeah, I mean, I think the Medivacs bring it from what could have been an A season to I think it goes down to the B tier. And I think that we're getting a similar thing here where I think this is a good cast, but because of these Medivacs, I think it's going to drag it down and another tier.
And that stands to reason. I'm like, are these the only two we have, or there are going to be more?
Yeah,
Because like I can see just these two happening, and then because they were so early on, and they, at least with the editing and like how they did it, they were very impactful on
hmm
everything. I mean, not just editing, like because significantly it really put a hole in the Tika tribe, and then also in a weird twist of fate, saved the Tika tribe.
yeah, yeah. Oh
Um,
my God, when Josh like went like, yes, I'm safe. Oh, but I'm so sad for
that's a little
you.
fucked.
I was like, man,
That's a little fucked. Like
he has no poker face. He can
you don't say that out loud. Like
yeah
it's okay to think that,
yeah yeah.
but
I
don't
think he just
don't say
has. I think he's really has no poker face. Like I mean, we've seen Jam Jam at the in the episode say like, "What's with the bitch face?" Like I think Josh was just he just didn't want to try to hide it. He was just like, "This is what happened," and then when
yeah.
it that's not if you know that you have resting bitch face, you have to knowingly smile. You have to
Yeah.
constantly tell yourself, I gotta be happy right now.
Yes. As someone who has resting bitch face,
Yeah.
that's part of the reasons I hated the mask so much. It's
Mhm.
because the smile counterbalances it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like the best piece of advice, Joe, that you can give someone with resting bitch face. I know, like, because like I'm not mad all the time.
hmm
And I wasn't back when I didn't really have control over the resting bitch face.
hmm
But uh, a little side thing, this may or may not appear in the episode, depending if you edit this. But when you first met me, did I look pissed off all the time or no?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, yeah, I guess I can't really say that. I was like, I think when we first were doing it, also we were like meeting for content usually. So,
There
like I
was
remember
that.
us doing that sometimes. So, like for me,
We
that was
were having fun too. We were like playing The Walking Dead. We went to like GameStop. And then yeah, we were filming stuff. So we did have that. So all right, fair point. But
yeah. I think our initial stuff was at least fun, where we were going to have fun regardless. So,
yeah, yeah. But like, I don't know, that's something I had to like deal with. And
Mhm.
like I wasn't really aware or think that was something I could change early on. I know this is getting very personal,
Yeah.
guys. And gals. And
Yeah.
everyone that's watching.
Yeah. Well,
But
if it makes you feel any better, a lot of times I really like to smile. Like I always find so many things funny, even if it's like should not be found funny. And so I have to in my brain let myself know like, oh wait, this is actually a serious thing. I should not be smiling right now. So I have like the reverse thing where I think if I'm out there, I'm probably going to be smiling so much that someone's going to be trying to like see if I'm lying, and I'm just going to end up smiling, and they're going to think that's lying when really I'm not.
to be honest, I also suffer from, I wouldn't say lying. It's just that
Yeah.
sometimes I laugh or like just like I laugh or have like a nervous smile under pressure.
Uh-huh.
Like I remember getting in trouble with, as a juvenile with my grandma.
Hmm.
And then I would start to smile and she's like, wipe that grin off your face. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just a nervous tick.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, for me, yeah, it's like it's not even lying. It really is just like I crack smiles all the time, and it's it can be so annoying for especially people who are not like that. They don't think about that. It's they just see the smile and they're like fuck you for being happy or whatever.
I, I think about that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know, like obviously, and this is one of the things where everyone's different. And then there will be people out there that have terrible poker faces. And I wouldn't even say that that automatically makes them a bad player. It's
Hmm.
just more so of like part of the hand they're dealt when the gene pool and everything kind of is dished out.
Hmm.
Um but I don't know. I feel like with Josh, before we get into all the pre-merge and assessment of everything, um I feel like he does get the LVP this episode because
Yeah,
of his failed DIY idol that broke. The
yeah,
fact that no one bought it
yeah.
once he brought it out, and he would have gone home. So I feel like all that equates to LVP.
Yeah, it feels like I just can't see how he gets like super far in this game anymore. It just feels like he has burned so many bridges. So many people are totally down to get rid of him except for Danny and Brandon, who don't really know the situation yet. So they're
No,
just wanting to they kind of just threw out his name because he's another big guy, but like
yeah,
I think the second that they see
must.
that he has like heat from so many sides, I think that they're totally going to be fine with just cutting him because they don't have that connection with him yet.
I don't know. Or, well, I mean, me, I remind you that Danny and Josh were on the same team for a while, and
Yeah.
even though he was like, Josh, but like when we were getting to the merge, and that big guys can always be targeted as physical threats early on. It's like
Mhm.
having the threat shields around, and like it's like, oh, um, because you can see this happen where it's like, okay, I keep the meat shields around, but if I'm a fellow meat shields, I keep the meat shields around, there's always going to be that target. And
Yeah.
so it's like, well, if the target is split between three people, then maybe they might go over strategic or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I'm honestly against and I've said this on I think multiple podcasts that I'm really against when physical players are trying to work with other physical players because physical players want to win immunities. Like that
Yeah,
is they're out there. That is what they have kind of built themselves to
that's
do
their
on
strategy.
Survivor. That's their best way of honestly winning is to really just beast out and say, hey, look at this. I won all these. So when you're trying to bring all of these physical players you might get to the end, but you're not going to have the resume of what you should have as what you're trying to be as a challenge beast. So
Yeah.
you really want to lose some of these big players early on, but have the social capital to not go home right after the last big player goes out. So that way, when you hit, say, final six, you can just win out all the way to the end, and make it as the Aussie Challenge Beast kind of player. But
Yeah.
we've seen now a few times where I think the big players are like, no, let's all just work together and maybe not have the resume at the end.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that doesn't really work out too well.
Yeah,
Um, and I think the thing is, if we want to go back to D&D or any RPG, you need to round out your team. And
yeah.
it's like, all right, you got, it's like, kind of like if we look at the teams in general, the more well-rounded teams like the Ratu tribe, like the Soka tribe,
Mhm.
the reason why they weren't losing as much was because they had balance
Yeah.
between all the kind of like things that you would need in a challenge. Whereas Tika was lacking some muscle. Yeah, they had, I mean, Carson did say like, yeah, he worked out and stuff, but if we're talking like no one there was like
Mhm.
the bulk
Yeah, I mean,
until Josh got on.
if you put Carson next to Danny and Brandon, you are not picking Carson to win a strength challenge.
No, no. And they even called Carolyn out when they went to the sanctuary. It was like, yeah, because it doesn't look like you're really good at challenges. You have someone that's just like, well,
Yeah, yeah.
so like I was always kind of wondering that. I did not want that to be like my bias back when I didn't like Carolyn that much. But now that, Brandon said, I'm like, okay, so I wasn't just crazy when it came to like what does she really deliver in the challenges? So clearly, yeah, the group consensus is not much.
Yeah, and I
Um,
mean, but also hearing that, that Carolyn's not going to be targeted early on in this. She has officially made what I call like the Nora point of the game, where she has made it past the pre-merge where her allies might want to get rid of her because of who maybe they think she is going to go off the rails, and now she's kind of hit the point where, well, she's here already. Like even though she's playing this great game, and I don't think a lot of people realize that, I think people are going to just underestimate her and think, oh, this is someone that we can easily bring far in the game, not going to win challenges. We could take her out if we wanted to, or we could bring her to the end. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, so yeah, I think she's probably gonna make it honestly a pretty deep run. I mean, it's Tika has been a bit of the main tribe now, especially now that we've lost
yeah,
Matthew. I think it really feels, and if you look at these confessionals, we'll get to that after the pre-merge analysis of everything. Yeah, it's pretty nutty, the difference of confessionals.
yeah. I mean, like because you have such an, I think it's also if we talk about like we were talking about earlier about Matthew, it's like yeah, they gave him a lot of screen time, even though he was like an early, like even though he was like the final pre-merge boot.
Mhm.
Um, it's like because well, people are giving you really good confessionals. It's hard to like not showcase them,
Mhm.
and like all three of the original Tika members that are left in the game, they gave great confessionals. They're all interesting people in their own right. So
Yeah,
therefore, it's like, how do you not give them screen time,
yeah,
especially
they're
since they keep
clearly
losing?
yeah, I mean, they were clearly the big characters of the
Yeah,
show, but they were going to soak up screen time for as much as they are, and the fact that the three of them are the ones to be making the merge, I mean, it just gave way to allowing them to to really shine, I think.
way to go, Joe. Your strategy was correct in like choosing five people from this tribe. Well, four people, and then kind of piggybacking one because unfortunately Bruce and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I was given Bruce, but I did choose four as my first four picks.
yeah, yeah. But anywho, when it comes to all the tribes together, and yeah, I do feel that Tika just got screwed over a lot, and they had one shred of good luck once with the whole Matthew thing. It's like we don't. The thing is, it's like when it comes to things like that, like even with like Russell Swan way back when, it's like obviously you're sad to see someone go, but at the same time, it's like it prevents you from going to tribal council. So there is that relief, as Josh, openly showed everyone. Um, and so so Tika did get that bit of good luck due to that circumstance. Um, but yeah, it was a very, very unlucky tribe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's a it's very unfortunate, especially for Sarah and Helen. I think if Bruce is in this game, I think that they have a fighting chance more so than what they had to potentially take out a Carolyn, Jam Jam, or a Carson, or do something. But yeah, it felt like because of the Bruce medevac, it just created this new world of what we're gonna have to live in with right now. So yeah, it's unfortunate that kind of I think this post merge is going to be dictated on how these medevacs happened and when they happens.
yeah, it is. Speaking of which, I think for MVP, mostly because of like how long he soldiered through and stuff. I wouldn't say there was any like gameplay stuff that like really wowed me. Like you kind of even said too, it was a lot of beach life
Mhm.
as well. I feel like I am going to give it to Matthew, mostly because like of his. He also got kind of wronged in this episode where we didn't see him make the decision or say goodbye to his tribe, even.
Yeah,
So for that reason, I'll give him MVP.
yeah, I can't in good conscience give him the MVP for this. It is still technically a quit. I would have rathered him make it another day and then have like the next morning them saying something as he exits. I think I would have preferred at least that. The fact that he kind of goes out here, I wouldn't give it to him. I am going to give it to Jam Jam just because he, I think, managed to go from potentially being the next one out to, having Josh and Carolyn wanting to work with him. He was able to, suss out Josh's fake idol very easily. Um, yeah, I think he was in.
Broke his idol.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was able to create a situation where he was definitely going to be able to take out Josh pretty easily here. So yeah, I'm going to be giving it to Jam Jam where he had a huge bounce back from last week being the clear consensus LVP to being in my opinion the MVP here.
You can see that. I don't know. Pre or before we go into the merge, or the next time on Survivor, I do feel like we talked about this versus 43. I do think right now, yeah, I kind of agree with you. 43 is better,
Mhm.
but I still really like this cast. But I'll be honest, it's mostly because of like some of the like major episode twists. Like I'd say episode 1 and episode 3 were some of my favorites in the sense of like because of the crazy tribal council that happened in 1, and in
Mhm.
3 we did see the fake idols and all that craziness. Also, yeah, I'm biased, the Kane stuff, but yeah, and then also episode 3 I did meet a bunch. I did meet, four of the contestants and stuff, so that was also cool.
Mhm.
But like even if I separate that, I was like, man, that was a great episode. um I don't know, like I feel like it's still a good season. I still feel like
Yeah.
it's a pretty good season so
Yeah, I'm
far.
not saying this is like a bad season or anything, but
Yeah, yeah,
it feels like production has been hyping this as like this season is amazing. Where it's so good that we didn't do our podcast for 43, but we're doing it for 44 because it is
yeah.
much better for us to talk about. Like that's the kind of attitude they kind of at least the production has kind of been showing. And it's so it's just I think weird because so far that hasn't been what it seems like. It doesn't feel like it's a top 10 season.
Not
um
yet. Not
yeah.
yet. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like once we, because as we all know, when the merge hits, that's where the real juicy stuff happens. Pre-merge is always fun, but everyone knows true Survivor starts when everyone's together on the same beach.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It can always get better. But so far, I would give the pre-merge of this season, I mean, maybe like a 6.5. Like I think it was enjoyable, but I think that there is still a few things that are when I look at this pre-merge will leave the sour taste in my mouth, and some of it is not even their fault.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna say, like sometimes it's not in their control of what
Yeah,
happened.
they don't purposely get people injured.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
So that's mostly a huge part of how where I would go. Like I think if those tribal councils were able to be tribal councils, maybe I'm more at like an 8.5. But
yeah.
because how it goes out here, I would lower it.
I'll be a bit more generous, but I'll still do kind of like a weird rating. I'd say maybe a 7.3.
Mhm.
Um, because there was a lot of stuff I liked. I do like the cast. And yeah, I feel like the medevacs, I will say the editing for Bruce's medevac, at the end of the day, they just like with any kind of like reality game show, they have to make the best story out of the events that happen. And so, why they made Bruce's like, when we hear the ringing and we hear the like tense music once Bruce hits his head and like everything. The editing for that, it really sucks you in and tells that story well, even if it's real and stuff, we know. But
Mhm.
like, telling the story is the editor's job. And so like, and they I don't know where that team was for this episode when it came to Matthew's departure, but
Yeah. Yeah, fun fact that I listened a little bit to the Jeff Probst podcast, but apparently the person who was the producer, the main producer of the premiere episode, was also the producer of this episode. So I know it's so weird because they were handled so differently, like wildly, drastically differently. That is just it's so it almost upset me. Like I honestly kind of got upset.
that's not.
um, but I mean Matthew Bruce, this is the captains of 45, I think.
Yep.
I think we're going to see them be the captains of 45. That is my
I would like that. I would
yeah.
like that.
We already
Or
know Bruce is coming back. Jeff
yeah,
Probst has literally said Bruce will be playing again. Um,
yeah.
the fact of how well they edited Matthew here, they're definitely going to want Matthew to come back out and tell him, "Don't climb a rock."
I think that goes without saying.
Oh,
I mean, like, I'll be honest, like if I go on Survivor, because like with Big Brother and stuff like that, they kind of like have their stuff a bit more safer because like obviously not all their stuff is just made out of hardwood or like, stuff like that. Um if I go on Survivor, like when I watch the stuff, I'm like, I'm gonna be like a little scared to like jump down and like go underneath the trenches, like, oh, what if I bump my head? Um,
mm,
stuff like that. Like I'd be
Yeah.
a little nervous.
Yeah, I've already told myself that I'm not like climbing high into a tree to grab a coconut. I'm gonna say if someone else wants to do it, go ahead. I'll be down here for support, or I'm finding things closer to the ground. I'm not risking
Climbing.
it. I'm not climbing it for a coconut.
I mean, I'm a professional climber in not like rock climbing and stuff, but like I climb up stuff and whatnot, and I need that for like one of my seasonal jobs, hanging up Christmas lights. So like I know what I'm doing in that sense. So like if it's super high up and there's no like branches, maybe not. But if it's like I'd say 20 feet up, I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean
Ryan's frame of reference of what's dangerous.
uh yeah. So everyone out there, if you're going on Survivor, don't do anything that could potentially be dangerous because it's not worth it. We've seen it.
No,
Matthew, he honestly was on a great position to potentially make a very deep run. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people wanted to work with him, and because of a day two injury, he goes out on day 11.
yeah. All right. So what are these confessional counts?
Yes. So Jam Jam and Carolyn are so far ahead of everyone now. Like this episode, they got so many freaking confessionals, and we're already like pretty far ahead. Jam Jam is now number one with 31 confessionals. He had 13 confessionals this episode.
This is
Um,
only like what, episode 5?
yeah, five.
Damn, that's like 6 per episode.
Yeah, he's got an average of 6.2 right now.
Fuck.
And then Carolyn has 30 confessionals. She has exactly a six confessionals per episode.
Man,
Yeah, yeah,
I
quite
mean,
quite a lead there.
it,
And then
it, if they keep that up, like I think they're trying to go for the record.
yeah,
Vlacos has it for Cagayan. I think it's
mhm,
at 7.4 or something, but
yeah,
so they're going for that record. They're gunning
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, it's definitely good there because the next highest confessional is a bit of a tie right now. We got a tie between Josh, Brandon, Matt, and Matthew also had this confessional before he gets taken out here, but with 19. So 11 confessional difference between the second placers or the third placers and uh Carolyn and Jam Jam.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing too, like because Josh was rather, I don't want to say under-edited, but he did not get a
Yeah.
lot of confessionals his first couple episodes. It wasn't until like he was about to be swapped around
Yeah,
that he started getting love. And we even got to see his backstory this episode.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like
So
okay, maybe Josh is sticking around for a little bit more.
yeah, maybe. His first three episodes, yeah, he got four confessionals in three episodes, which is obviously not good. And then yeah, he got switched to Tika, and Tika is the main character tribe as we've pretty much established now. And then he suddenly
Hmm.
got a seven confessional and an eight confessional episodes. So
That'll help.
So yeah, but yeah, there those ones are at 19. We then have Carson is the next one with 18. So he had a pretty good go until he got switched, and then he's kind of had like an okay confession. Like we're checking in on him still. So he is still in like the look out for him doing well, but has definitely slowed down now that he's not a part of the Tika tribe. And then who's next? We got a tie between Jamie and Danny with 14 confessionals.
Okay.
Um, it feels like um, Danny has been on the screen way more, honestly. It feels like he's kind of controlling that tribe, but yeah, he only has 14 confessionals, which is definitely a bit shocking.
I think maybe because like we do talk about confessionals a lot, but we also need to keep in mind tribe interaction. I feel like that's one thing too. Like, because like when we a lot of like screen time we've gotten with him, especially when it came to like playing the game, finding the idol and stuff. Like the whole thing about finding the idol and then the fake and then eating the paper and whatnot and then causing, some chaos. Um, like letting Matt find the fake idol and then also putting a target on his back. He's like, "Hey, what's your bucket?"
Mhm.
So, he is getting a lot of screen time just in general. So, like, that's why I thought he was the one on Soka that had the most.
Exactly. It feels like he is, as I think we've kind of said that it seems like Carolyn was in control of Tika. It feels like Danny has in control of Soka, and Matthew was in control of Ratsu. So it feels like, yeah, of course, Danny should have, like the confessional lead as, or at least is like, really popping off. But it's really been a more subtle edits. Yeah, he's had one really good episode, and then a few like okay, like we're seeing how he's doing, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
And then Franny has 13 confessionals, just one less than Danny and Jamie. And then we got Kane and Lauren have 10 confessionals. So they're averaging two for it. And then our current runner for Purple Edit is Heidi with 7.
Yeah. Just a shame. She's a very, very interesting person. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's had like two decent episodes, and then if she's just not important to the story, we're not being shown her, which is
Yeah.
not a good thing. Like that is not a good sign if you're only relevant when someone else is kind of doing something.
Well, we'll see. Like, I'm very interested to see how things kind of go from here, where they go from here, in the sense of like, all right, now that it's all these tribes coming together, like how things are going to pan out. Because, yeah, Tika has a bad reputation, and like we have two tribes that were pretty well put together. So like I can see like if they want to do tribal lines, or maybe it's like, the bros, you know, getting together, playing volleyball or football or whatever Top Gun 3 decides is the sport they're going to be playing shirtless. Uh, uh, but or if it's the nerds unite. So we have
Mhm.
I would love the nerdy showmance, the nerdy bromance get together and then, be like this nerdy foursome of reckoning.
Mhm.
I would love that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It seems I don't know. I don't have a lot of belief in the Mats because he doesn't have his votes going into next one. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for I think that scenario to go out. But
Let
also
me enjoy my nerds in peace.
but also the thing is I think Josh almost could be in that thing too. Like I think he could find some ways for it, even though he's kind of playing like the
Yeah.
Jim kind of person. He is a very intelligent person. I'm sure that he can relate to some of the nerdy things as well. But he's also in a situation where I think he's gonna maybe go with the bro, but I don't know. I think he's going to be similar to like how High handled it in 42 when
Yeah.
Roxroy was like, let's get the guys together. I was like, I don't want to be a part of the guy alliance. Like, I don't want to have
I
anything to do
feel
with
like
that.
because Josh, and we were even talking about this way back when we were doing our draft.
Mhm.
And part of the reason I didn't choose him higher was because I feel like on paper, despite his arts and crafts skills, he's a very well-rounded guy when it comes
Yeah.
to I mean, he's a doctor. I don't care what you guys think, or like doctors, you have to be super smart to be a doctor.
Yeah.
There's just nothing around it. Plus, he takes care of himself. The dude is cut,
Yeah.
so like he has the bronze brains. So like he can do both challenges very well. And
Yeah.
we'll might see that. And he's fit, but he's also lean. So
Yeah.
like, some of the bulkier contestants, like let's say if we compare Brandon to Josh, the bulkier kind of lean cut has advantages when it comes to what is it?
The like endurance kind of like
For
well,
endurance, and also like I would say for overall stats, like a well-rounded when it
yeah.
comes to physical ability, because okay, you're not slowed down by muscles, or like if one of the big, or like it helps with balance as well, and then also like the one thing that requires strength, but also if you're heavier, that it's the one where you're like hanging
Yeah,
back
yeah,
like
you're
this. You have a
mhm,
big advantage in that one. So I feel
yeah.
like depending on how the mergatory goes, if it factors in like it has in the past, where it's like half the team's immune or half the tribe's immune, but the other half isn't, depending on where he falls, and then where he falls on that line, and whether or not, like so many factors go into this, mergatory.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I want to point out something that you kind of walked around there. You talked about how he's really good strategically and he's really good physically. What is the most important tool of Survivor? What
So
is the most important one? Social. And we have so far seen
I
a
wasn't
very
necessarily walking around it in
yeah.
something where I'm like, he
I
doesn't.
couldn't think of a better word. I knew you were kind of around the ballpark of it.
I mean, I was focusing on the other two. I'm talking
Yeah.
purely like when it comes to, I wouldn't even say, when I'm talking purely to like challenges and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, could be put a target on his back, could be an asset for an alliance. But yeah,
Yeah.
social game, it
That
has
has
not been great
clearly
for
been
him so far.
his weakness of the game. I mean, it seems
Well, I mean, I will say this: the fact that even though, like, like he did, Carolyn did see value in, Josh, mostly because Jam Jam kind of like
yeah.
written Carolyn off as like some crazy, kook.
Yeah, I
But
think it
like
was
at the same
more
time,
of
she,
her thing.
yeah. But like, there is some merit to being like, yeah, I still kind of want to save Josh. I guess there's that. It's like a small thing, but if I were to give him anything about social, it's that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, he was going to even play his idol on Carolyn if Carolyn didn't say anything. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's obviously not a good look for him in that regard. That he was willing to potentially play his idol that he just got to keep him around one vote basically on someone else who he just met basically. So yeah, it's I don't know. I know I've been hard on Josh, but that's just because I'm just talking about what the show's given me. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
show has not given me any reason to say that Josh is in a good spot this game.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. And going into this merge, I will say like the one thing, because I know you think Jam Jam is in a good place. He might be in danger in the sense of like it really depends on tribe chemistry going into this, and like,
Mhm.
cast chemistry when once they interact, and where the alliances go. Because if Carson is still like, like preaching, oh yeah, Jam Jam was running the show over there, that could put a big target on his back. The fact that he's getting so many confessionals and stuff, obviously that leans more towards him staying around longer. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, yeah, but also I do think there is a benefit to being the tribe with the least amount of original members. I think that Ahsoka and Ratu are more likely to want to get rid of some of their people who they maybe don't trust as much. Also, the each tribe is going to probably be targeting the other tribe a little more because they want to even out the numbers a little bit. So, I think that for I'd say Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson, they have probably at least two or three tribal councils of kind of a filler before they're really going to have I think people starting to like say let's get rid of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, we won't know until next week,
That's
but how the chips fall. I don't know. Maybe this is where we get some of that episode one craziness, where it's like, whoa, what just happened this episode? But yeah, um, based off everything, who would you say is your winner pick? You know, like, and you're not married to your original one.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy I'm saying this because I wouldn't I picked her as my she's my second pick. It was so it's not too far down my thing, but I am going with Carolyn. They have given her, I think, such a good edit. Like it seems like now I am worried of how she's going to pitch herself at final tribal council. I think she needs Jam Jam on the jury, and she needs Jam Jam to like basically confirm everything Carolyn's going to be saying, because right now she needs an ally on that jury. I think that is
Yeah,
the only way that she'll be able to actually let them know that she's playing a good game.
yeah. Um, Before I reveal my who I think might, it's a bit of a, I don't want to say a bit of stretch, but I could see it as a possibility. But I do need to talk about something because of this person. It did remind me of something of Matthew's leaving the game where it affects. Matthew left with an idol. Now, granted, right before the merge, so doesn't matter too much. However, he gave someone a fake idol, and that's yeah. So I think um who is probably like the sleeper winner because all these big personalities are going to be, and when the dust settles, Jamie will win. It's wild, but she is getting coverage. I think I think it's possible.
I'm
Your
speechless.
face.
I am flabbergasted right now. If we have 12 people right now, I would probably rank her as like the 10th option of winning.
But that's the thing. Sleeper
Like I actually think Kane has higher win equity than Jamie.
That's the nicest thing you've said about Kane all episode, all season.
All season.
Anyway,
I like Kane as a person. I'm being a realist about his win equity, and I don't I think Jamie hasn't been perceived to be very good strategically. It
I
seems
think
like
we're gonna see more of it. Mia, I remind you, she made Survivor history,
wow, she made history on something that no one cared about because it didn't do anything.
but we did see that did do something in the sense of like because no one knew where Matthew and Jamie's vote lies, so they can pretty
Okay.
much play the
I
field. So there was
here
no.
I'm gonna just bust this theory right
I'm
off the
sorry, I
bat.
was just trying to. Did you not say that in one of our earlier ones when you were trying to put up Kane as like the next one to go out on Ratu, or are you only saying that to mess with me?
Well, I'm just saying
It turns the tide has turned. It
I
has shifted. I am putting it back on.
okay, well, I'll just let you know. Episode one, Jamie thought she was going to go home. That's why she played her shot in the dark. We never learned why she played her shot in the dark. We literally never were told about what the plan was. So her importance of that episode, which would have been very important of why she was doing it, was not shown in episode one, the most important episode for a winner. I it's I they didn't show her most important parts.
We shall.
Okay. uh, well, I think that does it for this episode. I think we have reached our natural conclusion of
Yeah,
uh you saying a very surprising winner pick.
you know. Did you not do the same strategy when you chose your winner picks when we first did
Yeah.
this?
yeah. No. It's very fair.
I
It's very
rest my
fair.
case.
Yeah.
Case rested.
Yeah, but at least I would say Carolyn has had a great story arc so far.
Yes.
I won't say that I think she's like a lock or like someone who I'm like pretty confident in of winning, but I feel like her threads are there. She was the first person that we saw on the entire cast. They gave us one of the most crazy, weirdest openings to a show for
To
Carolyn.
a season, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
then
doubting it.
just like how I mean, what makes so much weird is Erica and Marianne. I know got a lot of comparisons when they both won. They were both Canadian women who kind of played under the radar for most of the game, made some big moves near the end, and won the game. And now I think we're going to have a very similar thing with Gabler and potentially Carolyn, where they both came into the season very crazy, quirky people that we think are only on the season as a character, not to play the game. Yet actually, there's a lot more to them than what everyone sees, and could potentially make it. Ends up making some runs near the end, getting the win.
Yeah,
I mean, if we have that parallel here, I think that would be very interesting to have back to back filming seasons of parallel.
I will say this. If we are comparing Carolyn to Gabler,
Mhm.
I will say that if we're talking story arcs, Carolyn's story arc of being underestimated and stuff like that is 1,000 times better than
Oh yeah,
Gabler's.
yeah. I mean,
So
she's playing the game really good right now.
yeah,
Whereas Gabler wasn't really playing the game, but because all the big threats just went out at the end, Gabler ends up winning.
that he did. That he did. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited for this season, and I'm excited to see where things lie now going forward. And I'm excited to see when Kane makes it at the end, and I can be ha.
I'm down for that. I like Kane. I just he hasn't given me uh
He was knighted.
he was knighted in almost it almost felt like production with him and like trying to be like, okay, cool, come on, just hurry up.
Anywho,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that does it here. We will see you shortly. There will be a special episode coming out pretty soon here, but until the next time for us to talk about Survivor, that will be next week. And yeah, let's I guess that ends on that. So we will see you in the next one.
all right, peace.